Welcome to Momivate Momversations on the Win-Win Women platform. This is where we gather to care, connect, and collaborate. I am your hostess, Reagan Barnes. I am a mom of 8, and I'm the founder of this nonprofit organization, Momivate, where we empower you to elevate your mothering experiences. We are so excited to have Nancy White. She is the Healthy Cells Chick as our guest today. And moms, you are our guests as well. And we are just so thankful for each of you attending, and we welcome you into our community, or our mom unity, as we like to say. We are a community of moms who are just excited to make the world a better place through our motherhood. And we invite you to join us and become a mom or a mom unity member. It is free on our website, momivate.org. And together we will work to upgrade motherhood in a way that allows our children to have their needs met, while also making sure we as mothers have our needs met. The question we like to answer here on the Momversation show is, what do moms do anyway? Moms raise up society. Through these various aspects of this acronym, you can see that our impact as mothers goes beyond our homes. When we deliberately and intentionally work on all of these aspects of motherhood and how it impacts our children, we are making the world a better place, starting at the cellular level within our own homes. And we are going to focus in on one of these aspects today, the energy aspect. And this includes our habits of like eating, exercise, sleep. These, of course, sound like physical habits, but we have come to recognize how they affect us mentally as well. So with our guest, Nancy, I'm going to stop sharing for the moment. We are excited to have you here with us, and we want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself briefly, and yeah, please take over.
Oh, thank you, Reagan, so much for Reagan, for just allowing me to be a part of your show. It's always so exciting to be able to meet amazing resources like what you are doing and what you offer. And so I've just a little bit about me, because I get to be 70 next week, and I have also raised my children, and we all live to tell, and I also have some grandchildren. But I think it's fantastic when we can share with other mothers and encourage and lift them up and give them hope and excitement about, yes, this is such a privilege. That I have been a 30-year researcher, Reagan, in natural prevention and the healthy cells, and just, helping be preventative and have those healthy lifestyles just to be natural and normal. And when we're teaching and training our children that too, Reagan, they grow up that way, and that is their healthy lifestyle. They don't have to try to, do something as they age, a fad diet here or fad cleanse there or something, whatever. But as we're training them up, they're beginning to learn, and it's just their normal, natural, healthy lifestyle. So again, I've been a 30-year researcher. I love helping people to thrive and not just survive. And unfortunately, in this day and time, we're now in a sort of a combative stage with our mind, our body, and our spirit. So we're learning ways just to counterbalance. But I'm so excited to be here and to even learn more about what you're doing, because you do know, Reagan, the best marketing tool there is tell a woman.
There you go. I will be happy to tell you, and hopefully all of our viewers will move along and tell people about you too, and how you can help us with helping us survive even beyond survive, thrive,
Mhm.
both physically and financially. I have in my notes that you've been doing businesses for many years, like as an entrepreneur, and this particular Healthy Cells one for about 15 years.
Mhm.
And I think it's exciting to be able to glean from you from both the perspective of motherhood as well as moving forward in our different goals, whether that includes entrepreneurship or not, but looking to each other as um, resources.
Mhm.
So I do want to kind of refer to your motherhood and ask about during that time frame while you were raising your children, how did you manage your self-care along with their care? I think that's one of the real obstacles
Mhm.
that mothers run into, is it feels like we want so much for our offspring to be well cared for that sometimes it means we put our own self-care needs on the back burner.
And that is so true. And it goes on even after raising children too, as you'll see after, you finish this first wave. And then when you're a grandmother, it's one of those things again that you have to get into your mind and it's mind, body, and spirit, but getting into your mind that we are entrusted with these amazing temporary temples until we get our permanent maintenance free one, but we have to take care of it in order to be able to be a good caregiver and guide and trainer and teacher for our children. And yes, we make sure that, they are fed, they're bathed, are sleeping, and they're doing all these things, and they're being trained and learned all along the way. But, again, that's the same thing for ourselves. We never stop learning, but when we do it as a family and knowing that we're all going to take care of ourselves. And then when you get old enough, then you get to do some things, on your own. And that was, the privilege of, having that precious little baby, is that they are completely dependent upon you. And you're sitting there going, Lord, I would really just love to have a shower. It's like,
Yes.
just like that. I would like, but I think a lot of it too is communication and talking with if you have a spouse or anybody else, it can help you to do some things, and women don't like to ask. In this country, and a lot of countries, families have separated and they're not all close. I can just call up and say, Mom, would you come over so I can get a shower, please? But
Right.
sometimes you have to be able to get a friend or somebody that is a relationship. And I used to barter with mothers. That was a blessing that I never put my children in daycare when I was raising them up. And I was a single mom for a season, Reagan.
Wow.
But I bartered with other mothers, and we, came together and helped and collaborated. But the
That's
whole,
wonderful.
um,
I wonder if you were the driving force behind that, or was it part of your church community, or how was it that that bartering system
came
happened?
about, it was probably my own bright idea.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm just,
But it blessed those women too. I mean, that's the nature behind the bartering, is that you weren't just getting help, but you were giving help as well.
absolutely. And it is, and it helps with your children and socialization too, because a lot of
Yeah.
times, other children would come over and, take care of everybody, and we'd have a great fun time, and vice versa. My children would go over and do some things with other children. But I think, making sure that everybody knows that, yes, we're in this together. And, and that happens at a really young age, is that, one is not more important than the other. Everybody has, the same kind of interaction with each other. Everybody may have different needs, but we just, again, want to address those things and be creative. And I think it's great when children get old enough too to communicate with you and
Right.
find out what their bright ideas are about some things. You're laying out some things for the week or whatever, and you're talking about, what you're going to do if you're working, and if they're going to school or whatever. You just have to, think about those things ahead of time, but incorporate everybody into that. But going back to your self-care, so
Yes.
women especially, we just have to say, I just really want to be the best version of myself, the healthiest version of myself. And that doesn't mean I have to go and have my hair done, every week or every 2 weeks, or go have, pedicures, manicures, and all this kind of stuff. Those are some fun celebration times. But, I think just making sure that you are well rested and that you are eating and you're exercising. And those are foundations for us forever. I mean,
Right.
we start out when you're babies and it continues on.
That's great. And yeah, realizing that those aren't specialty things, they are necessities. And if we are pushing those to the back burner, we might be getting burned, so to speak. So I think that's crucial to realize how these things really are not just physical again, but they're going to affect us emotionally and mentally as well. So as mothers, we have identities beyond that. We're women, and some of us are business owners, or we just carry various, or have a lot of hats that we try to wear. So what suggestions do you have when it feels like we're drowning? That we're just never getting ahead. We might not even feel like we're keeping up with the things we've got going on. What would you suggest?
Okay, I'm going to grab something. I'm going to show you what I suggest. So Reagan, this is what I suggest. You just stop. You just have to stop for a few minutes. And sometimes, you just have to stop and take a big breath. And when you just feel like you're just going, got so much, stop and just get quiet. And then, in fact, I don't believe in work-life balance. That means you're not moving. And I think you're always having to move to be able to continue to grow and to progress. But just stopping and then just, just taking a breath and just, and then get an old-fashioned piece of paper and just start looking at some things, writing down those things that you have got that's going swimming in your brain over and over and over again, and getting those things down and prioritizing them, give them a number. And then also you can do a scheduling. I call it P's instead of work-life balance. I refer to it as peeing, and it is praying, prioritizing, planning, and pacing. And you can put them in, I really prefer to pray first instead of afterwards going, oh, would you please, since I've done all this, would you look at it and see if it's okay? I think we need to start first, and then just doing the plans, just laying out some plans. And I think it's really important for families to do this together if the children are old enough to participate in it. It's just having that time together and just planning about the weeks that's coming up, the couple of weeks. I can remember when my son, the night before, I've got a project due tomorrow. I went, yay, off to Walmart we go. And so,
Right.
but when you're talking about it and you're looking to see what's coming up ahead, so planning and then looking at those plans and then prioritize those plans and then pacing. Women, we use our calendars and we do our scheduling, but we don't put a lot of margin in. Just, when life happens. And I really believe that in our brain, we need to include some more margin. And, during the day, especially a mom that's running her own business and, participating in the children's lives and everybody else's lives, you just have to stop about every, couple of, not even more than an hour and a half, 10 minutes to just stop, breathe, get out and get some fresh air, sunshine in face, walk around, get some water, go hug each other, just, do whatever you need to do. And scientifically, it's proven that you're more productive when you do stop for about 10 minutes every 90 minutes. And so,
there you go. I like knowing numbers like that. When you first said the 10 minutes, I was like, I can probably find 10 minutes in a day. But you're saying 10 minutes every 90 minutes.
And that's like for somebody that is sitting in front of their computer and they're just working on projects and they're doing stuff, blah, blah, blah. But, but again, especially if you've got children and you're having interactions, because then you're not being interrupted all the time, or you can even have it fun going, have a big old clock or whatever, and children can see, if they're working and doing some things while you're working. And they're going to say, this is our break time. This is our break time. And,
Right.
you're teaching them to tell time. You're teaching them to pace, and you're teaching them to, accomplish those things. That we're going to stay focused and do this. And then this will be our time when we're going to just, break and do something fun, whatever it is, refresh, renew. And I
Yeah.
think, it is.
Those
And
lists of ideas that, I mean, you just spewed them out like you know what you're talking about. Like you were saying, go on a walk, get some sun on your face, get some water in your system, hug each other. I love that one.
You do, you have to touch. You do have to touch, and encourage. I'm just, cheer each other on. And for, women and your husbands, this is something that Dr. John Gray, I met with him years and years ago, and I loved picking his brain. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Mm.
And we was talking about how men love to be touched and patted. And I thought, that's sort of like a dog. But anyways, but they love to be touched and patted and told, they're appreciated. The things that they're doing are huge. And he said that men regroup by holding a remote control. It's something amazing because, sometimes when there's a man, he's got a remote control and he's going through all the channels and you're going, oh, what?
How do you go through that? How do you know? What you're looking at?
But that's one of the ways that men regroup and refresh that brain. It is interesting. But anyways, but back to going, as far as children, helping them to realize too, that it is, we're working on our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And we're working with the spirit of excellence, not perfection, but just doing our best, and God does the rest. And when sometimes they say, I can't, or whatever, then again, get out a piece of paper and let's see how we could potentially solve it. It's nothing's impossible. Nothing's impossible with God. It says so. It's if it's not impossible, then how are we going to find the possible?
Right. Very good. Well, and I like that you're bringing in that concept of how we learn to solve our issues can also teach our children. We're modeling it for them, that they can also solve whatever they're facing. So I think that that's an exciting part of being a mom, is realizing that it's not just about myself, but it's going to affect the next generation too. So there's kind of a societal habit going around where we just feed ourselves energy through energy drinks, maybe. Coffee is a common one, and Monster drinks, like things like that. Now, we know in our heart of hearts that that's not healthy energy. And because it robs us then of our restorative sleep. So what suggestions do you have in that vein to help us get out of that habit?
I think we're always going to have to make little shifts, Reagan, at a time. You just don't stop and do something, completely cold turkey. I mean, I had someone that I was helping years ago, and they were drinking like 10 Mountain Dews a day. So, they were addicted to caffeine and sugar. But anyways, and so I just told them, I said, you just have to do a step down because, it's a drug. Yeah, sugar is just like heroin. And so you have to do step down so you don't have these, crashing headaches. But I think making those little steps and those little shifts and changes, knowing a little bit more about what foods, fruits, vegetables, all those things that do cause energy. Also, and I love sending a lot of my clients a list of alkaline versus acidic foods, especially if they're cancer thrivers, and anti-inflammatory things. And these are other good things to teach your children, because your children need to be involved. And when you're doing meal preparation, when you're shopping, and when you're doing, and why we're getting these things, and what they do for our body. If you've got little guys and then we will be bodybuilders, you're going to teach and train them, what proteins do for your body, how it feeds your brain, certain things. So I think doing one little steps at a time is huge. Learning, I had children that I was having a fun time with several years ago, and I asked them, okay, here's a piece of chocolate and here's a potato chip. Which one do you think gets into your bloodstream faster and raises, your blood sugar? And they all go, the chocolate. I said, no, it's not. It is the potato chip, because it is one of those carbohydrates that breaks down just really fast and just, gives your blood sugar a spike. But, there's fun things to do, to help and just to become educated. And as
Yeah.
we become educated, we educate our children.
That's a really important aspect of motherhood. They learn more, I think, in the one-on-one. Or some ratios are a little different. Like I have 8 kids, right?
I know, and all those different ages. Well, even like for I've got a 7 and a 9-year-old grandsons. And when they come over, it's so much fun, because years ago, I created this drink and I called it creek water. And I was putting in some greens and some fruits, and these were organic, powdered, that were low sugar, no sugar and all this stuff, but electrolytes. And so I said, okay, we're going to put in this and this, and red and green make brown. And so we put all these things together, you have this brown water, but it tastes like a delicious punch. And it has all these ionic minerals and everything for their brain. So when my grandsons come over, Reagan, they go, Nanny, can we have some creek water? I said, absolutely. And lo and behold, they have no clue that they got all the fruits and the vegetables and those ionic minerals and things. But you have to make it fun. You have to make it fun when kids are doing things with you, And again, educating them why you're doing this, why this goes with this and those things.
That's great. So I'm curious about flourishing in the present while preparing for the future. Sometimes it feels like, again, there's a trade-off, and that we can only be spending our energy one space or the other. But how would you guide us in that concept of flourishing in the present while preparing for the future?
Well, everything that we are doing, anything that crosses our lips becomes part of us within 36 to 48 hours. And then our body completely regenerates every, 6 to 8 years. So everything that we're doing today, that great sleep, the different things that we're doing are helping these temporary temples now, but also for the future. So we do know what you sow in. If you sow in corn seeds, you're not going to get watermelon. If you sow in junk, you're going to get junk. If you sow those things in, you just have that mindset. And I can remember years ago, I've stayed 6 sizes down for over 15 years too. And, sometimes somebody would offer you something like a big old pastry or things like that. And this is something my brain would do, Reagan. I go, where would you like to put that on your body? And so, but I think, planning and pacing, just like, when you have birthday celebrations, when you have different things, then you look and see, and you just sort of adjust. Some days you have lower, medium, and higher calorie days. And you just, because we want to always enjoy fun, food, and fellowship, because that's why we're here. We're here to, to be together. And so, but it's again, that mindset of what I'm sowing in today is going to affect for my days to come. I can either feel great. It's like when you're talking about, somebody has, a real sugary coffee and whatever, and, they had that little yay for a little bit, and then all of a sudden they crash.
Yes.
It's called, that reaping and sowing. But,
That
but
comes,
it is, but having that mindset first and foremost, the things that we're doing that are good for us today, we will benefit, in the days to come and in the years to come.
Yeah, I think that's really important to keep that in mind. So as we sometimes do some of the more difficult things right now, but realizing that the payoff might be a few years down the road, it might, but trusting in that system. And for our children too, knowing that sometimes they aren't going to like our rules. But hopefully
those boundaries that mean
right. Yeah. And hopefully as they work through those negative feelings in the moment, they'll learn to appreciate it in the future. 20 years from now, will my children still love me,
And I can say, yes, they will. Because my youngest is 36. And so, yes, they still love you. They become friends, but you will see a respect, which I really love to see and witness in families so much, is that the children really do have respect for their family and their parents.
Well, I am really excited to let our viewers know a little bit more about the business that you run as being the Healthy Cells Chick. Um, Maybe you have something that would enhance our natural self-care right now. What kind of to help us drag through the day less and be able to think through whatever clouds are in our brains and help us have less anxiety, less weight, maybe.
Mhm.
What could you offer?
Well, I love offering just to be able to have a great conversation right where they are. And on my website, I've got 2 quizzes and they're self-paced or whatever. One is a healthy quiz and it asks questions for you to evaluate yourself in different areas. And you can get a score. And then you also get some great healthy suggestions for those different areas. And another one, Reagan, is a quiz, stress quiz. And it
Oh,
also helps you to evaluate all the different stresses and things that you're going through. And it does give you a number and tells you how likely you are, according to your score, to have some health challenges in the future. But it also has some great suggestions too. But I think just talking with people individually to find out the things that they're doing already that are awesome and to celebrate those things, Reagan, but also then they have to tell me what's really important to them. If it is helping to get rid of the brain fog, if it's to help make sure they've got that peace of mind that they're doing everything they need to do for their immune systems, whether they've gone through COVID or not, and then, bouncing back faster, especially if they can't taste and smell fully yet, then I have suggestions and a little protocol for them to do that. And if they want to release some unhealthy weight, then we talk about the things, that they have done and what they are doing and offer some suggestions that could potentially help them be successful. I mean, everything that we're doing, we're now maintaining. And again, we get to a good, healthy well-being, life happens, then we get back to that healthy well-being again. And then maintaining it is different. It's different for you than it is for me and for our children. So everybody's a unique individual, Reagan. And I love just helping people just to have their own healthy lifestyle that they can just tweak as they age. And then, it gives them that peace of mind that they are doing their very best.
I love that. I love that you can pay attention to them as individuals instead
Mhm.
of just the blanket advice that's out there sometimes that doesn't always seem to apply. Or we always feel like we're special cases, right? And we need to be able to talk through that with somebody to help us know how to move forward in the midst of our own
Mhm.
obstacles and problems. Well, it is at the end of our half hour together that we record. I'm going to turn back on our slides briefly and encourage those of you who are watching to write down whatever it is that you have learned from watching this episode with us. Make an action plan. Just like with this set of gears, the movement in one area leads to far-reaching movement in other areas. And so just get those gears started going, and writing it down can be that first step. We do need to end this recording. If you've been watching this as a recording, thank you. And please join us live every Saturday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. And then you'll be able to stick with us after we turn off the recording. This is where the magic happens. We get to chat with our viewers about the things that the expert we brought on is teaching us, and we get to ask questions, and it's just a really wonderful time. So I'm going to say thank you again to our guest, Nancy White, the Healthy Cells Chick, and to all of you. And we hope you'll constantly come and gather with us here at the at Win-Win Women, where we care, connect, and collaborate.